Hey guys, Liquid Fire here. Thanks for joining me again tonight. So we are obviously looking at Way of the Hunter since we have the new Night Hunting Pack DLC coming out. So it is packaged with version 1.27, and what you're going to see tonight is the early access version. So things may change. There's been some feedback given, and as of this recording, I don't know if any of it's going to be addressed or anything like that. So maybe things are going to be a little bit different by the time it makes it to prod. But at this moment, we're in 1.27.0, 152.955. So what comes to prod is going to be a little bit different for sure. Not sure what type of changes we may see at this point, if any. But we're going to roll with things as if this is what everybody's going to get. So basically, there's two parts to this update. So the DLC itself has the Night Hunting Pack, which does include night vision scopes and a night vision binocular. So that's what the Night Hunting Pack is. We'll get into the details on that. And there is also, as part of 127, a HUD customization change. So I kind of titled this one pretty poignantly as Pointless or Perfection. And I'm going to let you guys make the final call on what you think of the Night Hunting Pack. I have some pretty strong feelings on it. But, you know, everybody has their own game to play. Everybody has what they want. And a lot of the community has been begging for night vision scopes. I never really understood why. And I think when we look at things, you'll see why I'm of the opinion personally that there's not a huge benefit to having the night vision scopes. But there are circumstances where they are going to be handy. I think more so probably the binoculars than the scopes themselves. But yeah, there are going to be some places, some specific scenarios with lighting that could matter. But let me jump into the update here. We'll scroll through what the update says here so you guys can pause and read. I'm not going to read through everything. But basically, everybody is going to get a night vision scope. Even if you don't buy the DLC, you'll have access to the 3x9 rifle scope, and that is a night vision scope. So everybody will have access to that even if you don't buy the DLC. If you do decide to buy the DLC, then you will get some additional scopes. So you will get the Overguard Nighthawk 4x16 binoculars. And these, in my opinion, are probably the best of the DLC. They are variable zoom, 4x16 obviously, and obviously they're night vision. And we'll walk through and look at what these look like. You'll also have, again with the DLC, the Overguard Night Stalker 5x15 zoom rifle scope. So this is their high resolution digital scope for medium to long range hunting under the moonlight. The next piece you get is the Zoom XD Blackout, which is a night vision collimator. So for your shotguns, or if you want to use it for, you can put it on your regular rifles. But generally we see them on the shotguns. So it's compact, close range, just like your Zoom XD is. This one just happens to be night vision. And you also get the Zoom XD ShadowView 1x5x crossbow scope. So it's a night vision scope, or they don't really call it night vision. It's a specialized low light scope for when visibility is limited. So it's a low light scope for the crossbow. And again, we'll look at all these. So the next part that kind of comes with, and I think I scrolled down far enough. The next part that I want to talk about is the actual HUD improvements. So basically, you're going to have a few options now for your HUD. You have on, which is going to turn the entire HUD on, everything visible, just like when you start the game, everything's lit up. You can turn it off. So that turns everything off. So there's nothing that that's going to be on. It's all gone. No compass, no collar information, no stance, no winds, no when you change the zoom on the scopes, that doesn't show up. I think the only thing that would still show up is if you hit the the O key, or whatever it is on consoles, to bring up your mission objectives. That will pop up, I think. We'll double check it, but I think it'll still pop up whenever you hit that. But everything else is just turned off, so it's completely gone, completely dark. That's your immersive setting, and then you have a custom setting. And in that custom one, you can turn every element on and off. And that's actually what we're going to go look at first. So let me jump back out of here, and we'll just go into our settings, and we're going to go to, well, to game. So you've got your heads-up display main settings here. This has changed a little bit. So you've got immersive, which is no HUD, dynamic, which is the one, I think I skipped to say that. Dynamic is the one where they pop up and then disappear. I totally skipped over that. So you've got all off, all on, and dynamic, where they some of them pop up and disappear. Some elements like the compass, the wind indicator, your binocular rangefinder, the collar timings, any of these that are just on right now don't have the dynamic option to disappear. But any that you set to dynamic will pop up and then disappear, which I kind of like for a lot of things. Maybe not everything, but I like it for a lot of things. So you've got immersive, dynamic, you've got fully visible, which is just turning everything on, and then your last option is custom. So on this one, you can just change anything the way you want it to be. So we'll kind of walk through what our options are. Compass, obviously, it's the compass at the top of the screen. Your wind indicator, should be pretty obvious. Your stance indicator, your active gear, so whatever rifle or whatever you have up. The sight, zooming, and zeroing. This is one that you can flip to dynamic, and it's when you zoom in or if you change your zeroing. That's one I personally like having on dynamic. Just makes it a little bit easier. So your binoculars, when you zoom in and out, you can show what your zoom level is. The rangefinder for the binoculars, you can turn it on or off. To me, that's one that's going to stay on. Your collar timing indicator, that's your little bar at the bottom. It can either be on or off. The collar name, so that can be on, off, or dynamic. To me, if you're going to use the collar timer, it probably makes sense to keep the collar up. I don't know. To each their own. I would probably leave it on, personally. Mission information. So on, off, and dynamic. I'm going to have to check this one. I'm not sure. Maybe you can turn off your mission stuff. I don't know. We'll look at it. Control prompts and hints. That's your information there on the lower left. You can turn it on, off, for dynamic. Radio messages. Objective markers, custom markers, all these are on or off. Blood trail origin marker, that's the new marker that pops up whenever you shoot something. You can turn it on or off. Tripod markers on the map. Your hunter sense icon on the top right, those are both on or off. No dynamic for those. The tripod deployment indicator. It took me a second to think about what this was, but when you deploy the tripod, it pops up that little message. That's what this is. And then the tutorial information, you can turn it on or off. Now, when you change these settings here, so we'll just say off. If you decide you want to change just a couple of them, you can do that. It's perfectly fine, and it'll just change it to custom. So it allows you to do whatever you want. So if you like everything to be mostly off or mostly on or mostly dynamic, you can just set it there and then tweak whatever you want. But something to keep in mind, the additional settings, so the hunting permission and boundary warnings, restricted action warnings, you can't aim at the Jeep or whatever, the crosshair in the middle of your screen in the game version, they are not part of the presets. So if you turn everything off, so we just say we go to no HUD, if you don't want any of this stuff to pop up, you still have to come in and change it manually to turn it all on or off. So just keep that in mind. I generally don't keep the game version on. I normally keep it off. I do like the crosshair. I like keeping it on. The restricted actions and the hunting permission, I don't really need that. If I'm pointing at the Jeep, I should know that I'm pointing at the Jeep. So I don't think I'll have that on. I'm going to flip up through here and, well, we'll just leave it on no HUD for now. Everything off. So let's go ahead and go back. And we're going to jump in game real quick. And we're just going to piddle around a little bit with the settings to see mainly how the missions work, because I didn't notice that earlier. So I'm hitting my 0 key now, which should be turning the missions on, and nothing is happening. I have no objectives, so that makes sense. So if we go to game, gameplay, and we scroll down to, where's that? Mission information. So let's turn it on. I'm still not getting anything. Okay, so I have no objectives left here apparently. No, wait a minute. Did I go to... I bet I went to Freehunt or something. Because I should still have a mission to do here. Let me just relaunch this real quick. I have not completed the bear mission. The new bear mission where you had to get the 3 different bears or whatever. That's interesting. Why are my objectives not showing? Well, we may be seeing a bug that we've not noticed before. Let me jump back to the main menu. Oh, I hit continue free hunt. That's why. So let's do story. I apologize. I didn't even notice that I was in free hunt. The bad thing is it's going to take us back up to the lodge. Okay, so there we go. Beware of bears. That's back. All right, so now let's go to gameplay. So mission information, we got on, dynamic, and off. So even with it off, that's still popping up. So I'm guessing that it's like if you have the mission active, it's the information on the map. So let's take a look. So, well, no, the map is outlined. Objectives, let's deactivate it. So with it deactivated, there's no lines for it. And if we activate it again, then it'll bring the lines back up. So the lines are back up, and if we go to our settings, mission information is off. So I'm not sure what the mission information is. I don't know. Interesting. But we have everything turned off, so just to kind of look at what we got, we'll go to no HUD. Everything is turned off. And if you take a look at the HUD, there is nothing here. Nothing at all. You know, no matter what we do, we go to the map, we go to the menu, nothing's popping up at all. There's no compass. My FPS is turned on. I don't know why I still have that turned on, but you can see the FPS up there, but everything else is gone. There's no nothing, which a lot of people want it. So you still get your interactions. So you still have, that pop up for your controls. But none of the other stuff is there. And if I aim at the Jeep, this action is not allowed pops up. Now if we go to our options, I guess that isn't what that does. I thought that's what the restriction action was. Maybe that's a bug. I'll have to find out. I don't have anywhere without any hunting permission, so I can't say for sure whether or not that works. The crosshair on and off, so if we turn it off, we've got no little dot in the middle of the screen. If we turn it on, then we'll have our dot back, which I personally do like. So turn it back on. So there's a little dot. You can kind of see everything is gone. It's nice. It's clean. I like it. I personally like having the compass up there, but that's not what this discussion is. This is just showing what it is. So we'll flip everything to dynamic. And now you'll see we've got the compass up. We've got the information on the bottom right. None of that is going away. So we bring up our scope, our zoom, all the information on the left. You can see some of that's disappearing. But you'll notice the rifle and the wind is still on. If we go to our gameplay settings, stance indicators dynamic, active gears. Why is that? So I'm looking at the wind right now. It's still stuck on. It's still there. And if we get a gameplay, wind indicator is on, duh. Okay. Alright, so wind indicator can't be set to dynamic. So if we just turn that off. But the active gear, so if we turn it off, we see there's no rifle down there in the bottom. Oops. If we turn it back on, let's put it on dynamic. There it is, and it should fade out. But it's not. Let's see if we change weapons, if that gets it to fade away. Alright, so there's the Predator. There we go. It fades out. Now if we go to the menu and come back, it's not there. Go to the map and come back, it's not there. So you just need to change it one time to get it to actually respond. But this is more like what I'm actually going to run right here. I've got the compass up there. I've got my hunter sense icon and everything else turned off. When I dig into the actual settings, there's more that I'll actually turn off. The tripod deployment, I don't want that. I don't want the tutorial. I don't want, there's stuff like that that I don't want. I don't need the restricted warnings, which I'm not sure what that is if it's not pointing at the Jeep and stuff. I don't generally run the game version, so I'll turn that off. But that's all this stuff. So definitely really nice. I like it a lot. It's really handy to be able to set it the way you want it, and it actually works. And you may have to cycle things to get it to work if you make changes, but in the long run, it actually works, and it works nicely. Same thing, like if you bring up the scope here, like that stuff on the bottom left, I don't need that there at all. I'll turn that off completely. But you're not sure you're zeroed, Just change your zero, boom, it pops up. So, I mean, it's pretty handy. I like that. I'm happy with that as an option. But let's turn that other display off. So, all right, we've got center sense icon, tripod markers, control prompts and hints. No, we want you off. Be gone. Mission information, I don't know what that is. We'll leave it on dynamic. Caller name. So let's bring up the caller real quick. So there's the deer grunt. Let's see what goes away. Oh, it's just on the right hand side. Okay. Oh, I don't have. Yeah, so that's perfect. That's exactly what I want. I want that to go away. We've got our bar at the bottom, which, yeah, kind of nice to have. If you're really trying to go full immersion, okay, I can see having it turned off. The icon though, I think we can turn that off, can't we? So there's the caller name, timing indicator. No, I guess not. I thought I saw something. Let me make sure that this is what we think it is. So I guess they're tied together. That turns off both the bar and the little icon on the bottom right of the screen. I don't know why I keep hitting that. Where did it go? Oh, here we go. Okay, so we've went through all that. I think that to me, this is really well executed. It works nice. It gives you the ability to change things around the way you want it. The dynamic stuff actually works. It does pop up and disappear, which I like. If you turn it off completely, it's just off. So all that is great stuff. Now we're going to take a look at some of the scopes here. So this is probably the big part that most people are actually, well, I don't want to say most people, that a lot of people are actually interested in. So before we get into it in game, let's just kind of take a look at some of these scopes side by side so you can see what we're looking at. So I took a bunch of screenshots here, and I'll just pop them up on the screen so that you can see everything and kind of make decisions for yourself on what you like. But the first thing we're going to do is first thing we'll do is tell you that we're looking at the range here down in Nez Perce, and the time is about 1 a.m. I think it was 1:12 when I first started this. So the first thing we're going to do is bring up the basic 21X, the scope that everybody uses, the Bushnell Elite Tactical 3.5 to 21 by 50. So this is that scope at 1 in the morning, looking at the 200-yard deer down at the shooting range. So we're going to compare that with the new night vision scope. So we're just going to go straight to it. And that's what you get with the 15X scope. That's the same 200-meter deer at 1 in the morning. So what I'm going to do is pop this guy here in the top left and bring up the 9X. So this is the 9X night vision scope. And yeah, that's it at full zoom. Again, same 200-yard deer behind it. And that's what it looks like. So again, I'm not going to say anything here, but we're going to put it over here on the bottom left. So we'll have the two scopes that are new, the two new rifle scopes, I should say, and we'll just keep them here in the top. We'll keep them on the left-hand side of the screen, and we'll just kind of walk through what the other scopes look like, so that you can make a pretty fair comparison to what the different looks are. So again, we still have yeah, the 21X here. So if you just kind of look at the differences between the two, I'll let you make the call on which is the best option. I have my own personal opinion, and I can tell you there is only one of these three scopes that I would be running in the middle of the night if I'm hunting out in the open. Yeah. So let's move on from the 21X, and probably the next top favorite night scope that we have today, before the night vision stuff, would be the 15X. So if we bring it up and put it over here, that's the 15X compared. That's again, I think I know which one I would choose. Another great option is I guess I should say what the 15X is. Not everybody just calls it the 15X. That's the Overguard. Oh, wait a minute. That's not the right name. That is the Overguard Long Range 3x15x50. So that's your the 15X scope we talk about, which is a great scope. So if we go let's go to the 16X. So this is the 16X. Again, a really great option. And in fact, let me put these three kind of up here at the same time so you can see the 16X versus the 21 versus the 15. Now, some people prefer the 15, some people prefer the 21. Honestly, I prefer the 21, but I think the 16X probably draws in more light than the even the 21 does. You just give up a lot of zoom. So, yeah, those are all three awesome. But let's get back to what we're actually here for, and that's the night vision scopes. One that I always forget about is the 12X. So that's the new 12X, and it actually does really well in the dark. So if you take a look at it, you can kind of see what you've got with the 12X compared to the two new night vision scopes. Again, to me, I think there's only one that I would choose. The 14X. So this is where things start to kind of trickle in a different direction. It's not bad, but it's certainly not on par with the other scopes we've been looking at. So again, if I had to choose one of these for hunting at night, just looking at the images we have here, I still have the same choice. It would still be the, well, I'll let you make your own call. Now, when things really go wrong is when we take a look at the 9X. So if you are using the 3x9, and I forgot to go through the names. I apologize. So the 3x9 is, what is that called? It's not the Night Stalker. It's the Bushnell Engage 3x9. We also had the Bushnell Engage 4x16. Of course, the Elite Tactical 3.5x21. Then we were looking at the Leupold 4.5x14. The Leupold, oh, we haven't done a 3x18 yet. We did the long range 3x15, and I think that was the only ones we did. So now we've got the 9X up. Now you have to start debating which really is better. I don't know that I'd want to be using the 9X if I'm out hunting. 7X is a little better. So you got a little more light, and in this particular scenario, I would probably still go with a 7X. And then you've got the 4X, which actually doesn't do bad with light either. It's definitely a much smaller zoom and all that, so you have to take that into consideration. But all in all, I think they do a pretty good job of pulling in light. So when I'm looking at these as comparisons to each other, I, I don't personally see me using the night vision scopes on rifles. I just don't. Now, there are some other things to look at, and we're going to save the best for last. But let's take a look at the collimator. So this guy has the best reticle of them all. So I'm keeping the other two up here so you can kind of see the reticles. Um, it's a bright reticle, that's for sure, but it's actually thin. Now, part of that's because it's lower zoom, further away, blah, blah, blah. But one of the big issues I have with the night vision scopes is the size of the reticle. Now, if you turn on Hunter Sense, the reticle doesn't really matter so much, and you could probably do the bug and get the reticle to go away. But yeah, the reticles are huge. Oh, speaking of huge reticles, I skipped the 18x. So let's jump back to the 18x because this has kind of perennially been the horrible scope because of the huge reticle. And it's nowhere near as big as what these two scopes have. And it pulls in light pretty darn well. So I would even use the 18x over the two new scopes, to be honest. And I hate the 18x. This thing's just atrocious. The reticles are huge. The zoom is nice, but those huge reticles just ruin the scope. You lose that accuracy, especially at long range. We're only looking at a couple 100 meters away. When you start looking at 400, 600, 1200, whatever, that huge reticle just doesn't work. Now, granted, for the night vision, you're not going to be looking at taking, kilometer shots with these scopes, especially without Hunter Sense. You probably could with Hunter Sense on, but without Hunter Sense, absolutely not. It's just not going to be a reasonable expectation to hit something with the size of these reticles. And I'm hoping that this is something that they change with the before the launch, is they thin down these reticles a little bit because they're rough looking. Now, I do like the fact that they try to make it look like a digital night vision, and if we zoom in on this picture, you can see that there's a lot of pixels in here, and they've really made it look like a digital screen, and I think that's reasonable, that's fair, and I think that makes sense to do. But let's get back to our normal size here and jump back over to the collimator. So that's the crosshair in it. That's the one thing that I think really stands out, and I like that one better. It's just not as huge, and you'd be using that on something up closer. So I think it's probably one of the better scopes you could choose if you were night hunting with a shotgun. Using it seems completely reasonable. And just as a comparison, we have the carbine optic here, so you can kind of see what it looks like. I don't think it's bad. Um, we're at, I do have some odd lighting on the top half of the scope, so it's kind of weird the way it's got that glare on top. Pretty realistic, but kind of weird to see it. So yeah, I mean, if you're taking long shots with a shotgun, at that point, yeah, maybe the collimator or the carbine is still the better option for the collimators. But if you're not taking super long shots, I think that the blackout could be an option for you. That's the new one, the blackout. So the other thing you get is a new scope for the crossbows. So let's go ahead and bring this guy up. So there's the new crossbow scope. And I know we still have the other two up. We're not really comparing to them, but that's fine. It just gives you something to reference. So that's a new crossbow scope. So yeah, that doesn't look horrible. Yeah, you can see it's honestly that's a 50 yard or 50 meter deer. That's not the 200 meter deer. So that's a much closer deer. But you can see it. I mean, it's not great, but you can see it. Now, conversely, if we bring up the X speed, so here's the X speed. Well, I can see the deer much more clearly, in my opinion. You've got better zoom because you can zoom into what 5x I think it is. Um, so yeah, again, I think I would still rather see what I see out of the Bear X Speed. Now, where I think there is some opportunity is the reticle. So the reticle in the X Speed in the dark is going to be tough to see. That's going to be your problem. You can see it kind of clearly here on the white and stuff like that, but it's pretty hard to see. To where with the night vision scope, you can definitely see the red dots. And as long as you get your ranging right for all the dots, I think it's an option. The other option is to turn on Hunter Sense. And then you've got a nice clear dot on a clear image in a clear scope that you can actually see with. So if you use Hunter Sense, that probably changes things a little bit. If you don't use Hunter Sense, then I think that the new night vision crossbow scope has a role. It has something that it can offer that could be useful. So that's something to think about. Now, the next part that I want to look at is where things actually, in my opinion, do kind of favor the new night vision stuff, and that's the binoculars. So we're going to bring up the 8x binoculars here. So again, 1 o'clock in the morning. It's probably like 1:30 by now or something, but it's 1 o'clock in the morning, and you can see fine. Yeah, it's not bad. We go to the 10x. Doesn't look much different because it's only a 2x zoom from where we're at. But again, nice and clear, and you can see everything. And then if we go to the 16x, it's not so nice and clear, but it's night vision and it's more zoom. So in this particular area, I don't think I would use it. But we're also out in the open where there's more light. And that's the piece that really kind of matters. So what I want to do is head into the woods and actually see what some of this stuff looks like in real life. So let's jump. Well, let's run back into the cabin real quick and change gear. All right. So we're going to take, I don't know, it doesn't matter what we have it on. So what do we have? We've got the SM12 with the 21X. And we'll start out with, let's just go to, it doesn't matter, we'll use the monoblock, equip it, and we'll throw the new 15X night vision scope on here. And we're going to trade out the 8X binoculars for the new night vision. Okay, so we've got our regular 10X binoculars, we've got our night vision binoculars, we've got the 21X scope, and we've got the 15X night vision. Just as a starting point, we'll check some of the other stuff out. And what we're going to do is just kind of walk around through the woods here and see if we can find anything. Where would be the best spot? Here? Or up in here? I don't know. I'm trying to think about terrain and where would be the darkest. I don't know. I know in the mountains in Transylvania you get some nice dark stuff. Let's go here and we'll just kind of, well, I don't know where to go. I want to go somewhere where we're going to likely run into some animals. And I don't want to be down anywhere where it's open. I know we get kind of sparse in here a lot of the time. We got tons of stuff in this. Let's go to this campsite and just head south. So we'll go around the mountain. All right, so we're going to flip on our hunter sense and we're going to go up across this mountain. So while we're here, we'll just kind of look into these woods. So again, the time right now, it's 2:45, 2:47. So middle of the night. And if we take a look in the woods, that's what we're looking at. And if we go to the night vision, that's what we're looking at. So definitely more zoom. So if we drop, we can only do 4, 8, 12, and 16. So there's more zoom. So I think that's nice. And just kind of flip back so you can kind of see the difference. You know, it's definitely much brighter. So I mean, you know, there's some obvious differences here. Same thing if we bring up the 21x scope. I know there's no animals, so you can't really see how they would look, but you can kind of get an idea. Let me back out a little bit. So you can kind of see how bright things are in the middle of the night. And then we'll go to the night vision scope. So there's our 15 zoom. Back it out a little bit. So, I mean, they work. There's no doubt about it. You can see. Oh, we got something somewhere. All right, so 300 meters, we've got some sort of critter to the southwest. So we're going to head and see if we can find what it is. I'll just go ahead and speed things. Well, who knows what we might run into. I was going to say I'll just go ahead and speed things up, but you may run into stuff along the way. And again, you know, this is middle of the night. You can see all the stars in the sky. It is not the darkest time of night, though. Generally, you know, a few hours after, well, directly after sunset and before sunrise is when it kind of gets the darkest. And actually, a great way to kind of see what that looks like, sorry, is with the camera. So we're just going to look out here towards this field. So if we take a look at the time, we're going to go towards, well, we'll go back to midnight. So there's midnight. And if we go towards daylight, you can see it kind of gets a little darker before it gets light. You can see it's a little lighter as we go back in time. And it gets dark right after sunset. So you can see there's our sunset. And see how much darker that gets, and then it lightens back up, and it stays pretty light throughout the night until you get back to dawn. And that's the way it really works. So it's not like that's just something for photo mode, but it actually gets the darkest right before dawn and right after dusk. Middle of the night, the moon's high, I guess, or whatever. To me, personally, I've not had any issues at all hunting in the dark. The only instance that actually kind of creates an issue, oh, I've alerted them because I come flying up through here, is if there's a thunderstorm and you're in the woods. Then it can get dark. And that's where I think the scopes could be useful, and certainly where the binoculars could be useful. If you get in like a deep valley, I really didn't want elk. I wanted to be able to kind of move in pretty quickly. But if you get into a deep valley with you know, shade and stuff in the night, especially right after sunset, it gets dark. So there is about an hour right after sunset where I think the night vision stuff could be useful, depending on where you're at. Now, if you're in the middle of the fields, you're in most places, it's not really a big deal. Hoping these guys have calmed down a little bit. I really wasn't expecting elk. I did come in kind of hot though, so I'm not surprised that they're alerted. Easy enough to work around. Oh, there's our bear we were hoping to see. We'll go check on him in a minute. So we're going to bring up our regular binoculars. Work our way up over the hill here and see if we can see anything. Again, going nice and slow because, well, they're elk. Decided to go ahead and stand up so we can see over the hill a little better. But I'm just taking my time, just going right at the hill. I'm sure this is exciting to watch me creep up over the edge of a hill. I just don't want to spook the guys, so we can take a look at them through the scope, hopefully. So right there is our direction. So they're a little further this way. At least one is. And we may not have eyes on them. We may not be able to see them. But it looks like it's going to be the best case scenario for showcasing how well the night vision works versus no night vision, because it looks like they're going to be down in these trees. All right, so here we are. They're on the other side of the tree here. So let's change over. Whoops. You can see there for a second that they were there. You can see a little bit of movement here. And I can still see him walking, like right here your guy is. So let's kind of move to the left here. Oh, there's a rock moving through. There's your deer, well, elk, moving on through there. You're not going to be able to see much more because they've went around that hill. I don't know why I keep bumping that. So they're down around this hill. They've went around to the left. Why didn't my wind pop up? Do I have wind turned off? Yes, I do. Oh, that's right. It's either on or off. Oh, no. That used to be dynamic when you turned it off. It was part of that whole set. I would prefer that to be dynamic. Anyway, we'll just leave it on for now. So we just can't see anything because they're around the hill. So we're going to have to either find something else to look at or try to get into position to see them. That's probably the mule deer over there. Let's see if we see anything down here in the bottom. This is where I think these binoculars are actually handy. You got that little bit of extra zoom, and that's nice. I don't see anything. Let's sneak around this way. Oh, let's go for the black bear. Probably spook the elk going over the hill for the black bear. Definitely wish that wind was dynamic. Alright, so we're popping across this hill here in just a minute, and we'll see if we can see the black bear. Middle of the night, middle of the woods, middle of the map. We're just in the middle of everything. So we're just going to keep on creeping up through here. You know what, to keep it fair, let's turn Hunter Sense off so we can see if we can see him versus getting a reading to see him. Oh, he's nearby. I don't see him yet. Let me go to the other binoculars. Still don't see anything. So we're going to go back to the regular binos. Oh, there we go. That's pretty hard to see. I mean, you can see him pretty good with these two. Alright, so there he's sitting down. Let's take a look at him through the rifle scope. Surely middle of the night, there's no way you can see a bear. They're black. It's night. How can you see him? So I think it's pretty obvious that there's a bear here. I think you can see him pretty clearly. I just don't think I'd have any problem seeing him to take a shot. I mean, especially when he's this close. All right. So yeah, I mean, that's pretty cut and dry for me. Now, I do want to say, when you get down into the woods, I do think that having the night vision scope could help in some scenarios. I do. I don't think it's going to be very accurate, and I don't think it's going to be something you're going to be taking long shots with. But I think that it could be useful. And I think part of it also depends on your monitors. If you have monitors that do really well with dark images and have good contrast and blah blah blah, or you crank your gamma up, yeah, night's not an issue. If you have a really dark screen, then maybe the night vision's a bigger deal for you. But you know, here we are. We're in the darkest of the dark. We're right in the middle of the pines, in the middle of the night. Full zoom, yeah, if we back out. I feel like I can see pretty well. But, to be honest, you can see a lot more brightness this way. Your fidelity's crushed because of the pixelization, but I mean, it's bright. And I think that if something dark were to run across the screen, that it'd probably stand out pretty well. I don't think you would get that type of standout if something dark ran across the screen with these. I just don't. Let's go down here and take a look at these deer. And I'm really focusing on the rifles, just because that's kind of what everybody hunts with. Yes, you can hunt with the other weapons. You can use the crossbow scope. You can use the collimator. But the most common weapons, it's going to be your rifles, and most people are going to use the rifle with the most zoom, or excuse me, the scope with the most zoom. So I'm just, for this, really focusing on those. I showed the images of the others so you can see what they look like. But for this, I really wanted to kind of keep it real. And this is what I would be using. The two options I would choose. We'll bring them up in game here in just a minute, so you can see what they actually look like versus just a screenshot. Now, right now, I don't see any deer down through here. So let's change our binoculars. I still don't see any deer. Alright, so it didn't help out with that because, well, they're not in sight yet. So I'm thinking they're down over this ridge here, which is actually kind of perfect. That's deep, dark valley. I don't know if that's the same elk and they've moved that far. Alright, so we should have some deer down in here. Let's see. Alright, I don't see them. I truly do not see them at all behind the bushes, I think. Let's go to the other ones. I still don't see them behind the bushes. Yeah. It's a fair comparison. Can't see them. So let's go back to these and continue moving our way around. Oh, right there. Boom. There he is. So let's change over and see what he looks like. Well, he's kind of walking away. Saw his tail waggle. You can see his white butt there. Still see his white butt and his tail waggle. So let's take a look through the scope. So the 21X. Well, if he's there, I don't see him at all. Did he move? He moved. Oh, there's one down here though. Alright, so here's our 21X. We can see the doe there. Let's jump over to the night vision. I can, yeah, I would say I could tell that's a doe. I don't see any rack. So that's kind of holding. Oh, maybe zoom in. I mean, I can see her fine. I don't know. To me, I still feel like if I were wanting to take a shot, I would still go this route. I mean, I can see exactly where I want to hit at. It's clear, it's sharp. I'll leave it to you guys to make the call. You know, you got to do what works for you. That's the big thing. And for me, I have my choice. I think the binos are handy. I do think I'll carry those. I think there's some situations where they could be useful. And nighttime, in the dark, stuff like this, that could be really useful. I think that you would be able to pick up with the extra zoom, especially. Like right there, you can see she's looking at us. I mean, she may not really be looking, but her head's turned this way. Would I necessarily see that as clearly? To me, yeah, but I already knew she was, so maybe not. I do think that the extra zoom is a great benefit. So I'm a fan as far as these particular binoculars go. I'm a fan of the zoom. I like it. Being able to see, you know, in the dark is really nice. I still couldn't see that other deer that was down here behind the bush, but you could see her clearly. But that additional zoom makes it worthwhile. There's a 1-star. So let's go ahead and shoot him. Do we want to use the night vision, or do we want to use the other? Alright, so with the night vision, now I'm struggling to tell because he's behind that bush. Oh wow, that's going to be fun. I can't shoot him. Alright, so we're not going to shoot him. Let's jump back and if I can get it to jump back. Let's go change gear. We'll just run to the Jeep real quick. I just wanted to get where we could look down in the woods, look in the field, so you can kind of see how everything looks. Alright, so we've got the 15x, so we'll change it over to the 9x, and we'll slap the blackout on the, what was it, the SM12, I think. Alright, so here is your 9x scope. So that's zoomed out, that's zoomed in. And just for comparison, we bring up the binoculars. That's kind of what the binoculars look like. And then the collimate. So much better in my opinion. I would run this at night if I were using shotguns at night. I mean, that's nice. I like this. It's not nearly as pixelated. The reticle's smaller. If I were to run the shotgun at night, I would run this. There's no doubt. We'll swap over real quick. Well, actually, before I do that, let me... So here's what this looks like. And if we go back... That's the 9x night vision scope. Alright. So if we throw... We'll just put the carbine on the other one. So here's the night vision. There's the carbine. So to me, the night vision in the woods is a win. See the glare that you get? I really hate that glare. It's good that it does it. It's realistic. In the fields, if you don't have the glare, if you don't have the glare, I'm perfectly fine with this. Yeah, I think I like the non-night vision in the fields better, to be honest, even with the weird glare. And you can kind of see, I mean, I don't know, maybe I'm crazy. I certainly think that the collimator looks better than the other scopes. All right, let's jump over to a crossbow. And we'll throw the shadow view on it. We'll just grab a different crossbow. And it's got the X speed. Alright, so here's the new one. And I'll be honest, I can't see much in here. This is pretty rough. The dots stand out, so if you do get your eyes on something, you've got a dot to use. And that's worse. Yeah, so in the dark, the crossbow scope is way better. I mean, that's rough right there. So we'll flip on Hunter Sense here. So in the dark, you can barely see, but at least you can barely see. And then you can't see. I mean, you wouldn't be able to see anything. Now if we turn over to the field, it's a little better. I mean, it's still pretty dark. How are those zones? Whatever, it don't matter. So, I mean, it's still pretty dark. And we're getting into the darker time, so it's starting to get darker. But, you know, that's bad. That's hard to see there. You know, that's a little better. You could at least see something to shoot. So we'll give it to that one. Let's run down to the range. Alright, so there's your 50-meter shot. And there's your 50-meter shot. I think I just totally missed. Oh. Yeah, I reckon I did. So, yeah, I mean, rifle scopes? Nah, not really. Not really something I'm going to be using. Crossbow, you know, it could be useful. It could be useful. The collimator, 100% is useful. I do like the extra zoom for the binoculars, so that's definitely a plus. I don't think there's any trouble seeing anything, but the extra zoom's handy. But the regular night vision scopes, yeah, no, just I can't use them. I won't use them. I think that they're pointless. there's just no reason I would use them, even in the dark, if they're just horrible. I'm sorry, but it's an option, and that's what this is about, is giving people options, and that's definitely cool. Anyway, so I wanted to kind of walk through everything, let everybody see how things look. We ran across some interesting issues, some things that I think we need to maybe give some more feedback on. Um, like, why can't we make the wind be dynamic? Let it go away. Um, I guess because everything else is designed when you make a switch in the screen or whatever for it to pop up, like the stance or if you change weapons. But it would be nice to be able to get the wind to go away like it used to. I liked it whenever you could get that to go away. So got some twiddling to do. We'll see how things change. Who knows? Things may be different by the time it launches. Anyway, guys. So again, that's the new night hunting pack. It's version 127, and it's going live on June 11th. So there you have it. All right, guys. Y'all have a good night. God bless and happy hunting.